Yeah, all right. So let's start. So before starting, we had a we started AWS yesterday. We discussed about what is cloud computing, what are the advantages it brings us, what are some models, types of cloud computing. We discussed that. Of course, there is no recording, so you can find out it's the same thing or anywhere. Try to watch video or maybe go to official document any cloud. So now today we'll start. Go to topic. So before going to topic, the first thing I want you to know, sorry, there are some things called, yeah, this is what we discussed, sorry. So since we are on cloud, AWS mainly, majorly, so let me tell you something about regions and availability zones. I should have told this yesterday, but I forgot.
Bro, are you sharing the screen?
Oh, sorry, my bad, my bad. You should be seeing now. Can you able to see?
Yes.
So yeah, so there is some concept called regions and availability zones in AWS. So before we start working on this topic, we should know what are these. Let's say how to say is, as I told you right yesterday, cloud is nothing but data centers which maintained by third party providers, whoever is providing the cloud solution. As an example, Amazon or Microsoft or Google, they maintain the data centers all over the world. So as a customer, we are the customers, will be registering ourselves or our organization, and will be using the resources, and we'll just pay for what we are using. So we don't maintain it, we don't bother about the maintenance, uptime or downtime, something like that. So I told you, like, these are just data centers all over the world. So AWS also have data centers all over the world. So they'll pick some area, let's say region, we simply call it an area somewhere, anywhere, and geographical area, let's say Hyderabad or Mumbai or USA, or they'll set up their data center over there. They'll choose an area. And what are those areas? If you click on this, Ireland is showing, right? These are all the areas AWS have, you know data centers. Not only these, there are 13 regions that are not enabled for this account. So overall, I don't know how much the number, but yeah, more than 40, I would say. 40 regions. Where are those? Why it came here? Okay, that's okay. So Hyderabad also one of them. It's a disabled, we can't see it. Let's click on manage regions. I think it should be here. See the region. See, these are all the regions. You can enable if you want. Let's say this is Hyderabad. See, enable if you want. But yeah, it's okay. We don't want it. So these are all the regions which AWS gave us. It means the data centers are in these regions. So you can choose any region you want out of this when you're creating some resource in AWS, and just click on here, and it'll show you. Let's say I want to create maybe my server. Somewhere maybe in anywhere. Let's say currently I'm using Ireland. Frankfurt is Germany. Sorry, this is Europe. You can see already Canada, if you want, or you want Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, whatever it is, Ohio, North California, North Virginia, Oregon. These are all the cities, right? You know them. Most of it, at least you know them. Sao Paulo, it seems, from South America. This is the first one, and Paris also, if you want. So you can choose any region, whatever you want, to have your infrastructure. And what happens? Your server. Let's say I created my server in Singapore region as an example. I just click on this region, and I'll create my server. So my server will be created in this region, in Singapore region. Okay, got it? So like that, we have regions, nothing but areas where AWS have their own data centers. Then what are these availability zones? Okay, areas are okay. what are these available areas? Let's say Singapore as an example, right? Then what are the availability zones? So regions are like area. Let's say in Singapore I want to set up my data centers, but where and how many? Let's say Bangalore as an example. I'm just taking Bangalore. There's not no data center for AWS. So I came to Bangalore. I'm choosing my Bangalore as a region. My region. This is my region. You can set up multiple availability zones. Sorry, multiple data centers in one region. Obviously. So availability zone is called data center where inside the region we place the data centers. I chosen Bangalore as my region or Singapore as my region. Within Singapore, I'll keep my data centers. Maybe I don't know the names, but let's say Whitefield or let's say Electronic City or let's say Hebbal. Some places. I'm just saying Bangalore places. So I want to set up my data centers in these places. So now what happens? Let's say the data centers will call 1, 2, 3 or simply A, B, C, sorry, ABC or D if you have 4 data centers. So in this Singapore region or in this Bangalore region, I have set up my data centers 4 overall A, B, C, D, the numbers over. That's how we have decided. So region is a place we choose, and within that region we choose where the data center should be there, which we call availability zones. Sometimes they'll ask to confuse you, what is the difference between region and availability zone? We say like it's not like a difference majorly, they are together. I mean, region is a place where we choose, I mean, not we, of course, the cloud providers, and availability zone is where the data center exists within that region. I'm telling you again. So that's about regions and availability zones. Now whatever we create will be under a region. Obviously any region, choose, you can pick anything whatever you want, anything, it does not matter. So there will be a little bit differences in these regions. One thing is cost wise, obviously the main thing. Why the cost wise the difference? Why it is difference? Depends on the currency, depends on your location, obviously. See, what is the currency now? 1 rupee in Bangalore, on India, sorry, and US dollar, there are differences, right? So the production cost will be different, obviously. Let's say you want to set up the data center, you may need a 1 crore in India, as an example. I'm just saying, but maybe in US you don't need that much. Maybe I'm just saying, or you need more. So if the cloud in data center is cost is more, obviously the resources which we create in that will be little more comparatively. So it depends on your geographical area where the data center exists, the cost will be like that. So if it's in Europe, maybe a little more. If it is US, it's a different cost. If it's India, maybe more, I don't know. So like that, the cost difference will be there. So you can choose whichever you want. By default, if you don't select anything, by default whenever first thing you create an account, it will go to Northern Virginia. I believe, I'm not sure, but this may be the first region exist when they created when they are working on AWS, I believe. So this is the first region. Say region US East. US East I'll tell you later, but see the North Virginia, and status is healthy. And if you observe zones are nothing but availability zones. See how many are there? What? A, B, C, D, F, 6 are there, see. So it means in Northern Virginia region there are 6 data centers exist. That's why 6 availability zones. You can choose any of this thing when you are creating anything, your resource. We'll see that, don't worry. So that's about regions and availability zones. As I told you, zones are inside the regions. Zone is just an area which we decide, and region is a area which we decide, and zones are one where we create the resource. See, if you let's say you have a house. If you want to go to bedroom, you want to open the bedroom door. Directly will you go from outside to bedroom door? No, right? First you have to open the main door, and then you have to go inside, then open bedroom door or washroom door or whatever it is. It's inside it. So we simply don't say go to my bedroom, go to my house. go to left, maybe or right, there will be a bedroom, go there, open the door like that, right? Inside it. Similar way here. It's just an example, maybe a bad example, but yeah, that's an example. So region and zones. Zones are inside regions. And of course, Northern Virginia is the region name, but of course, we can't use those region names because North N dot Virginia, N dot California. See, we can't use these names. That's why they gave the IDs like this, some code names. US East 1, US East 2. What is Mumbai? US AP South 1, it seems. I think for what is that? For Hyderabad, AP South. Okay, it's not enabled, but it's okay. Hyderabad, it is AP South 2. So like this, we have the codes. So you have to use these codes only. I mean, of course, once you start working, once you working on it, you'll remember few things. Because I work on Oregon every day, so I remember US West 2, and I work on Ireland every day. U West 1. U means Europe. US means obviously Europe. Sorry, US. AP South. There will be a specific thing. AP, Asia Pacific, CA, Canada, Europe, EU, South America, SCA. They are not just random codes, so they are meaningful. And what is it? East West? Depends on the geographical location. Maybe Mumbai exists little southern part of Asia. Obviously, India is southern part of Asia, right? So that's why south. Singapore is southeast, it seems. I don't know what about that, but yeah. So like that. So like that, they'll have codes. So we have to use these things. So, and of course, see, this is the region ID. And once you come, I told you ABCDs. Zones are inside the region, obviously. 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1E. See, US East 1 is the Northern Virginia code, I believe. See, US East 1, US hyphen East hyphen 1. This is a region code. Now zones are inside the region, so sub part of it. So ABCD, 1A, 1B. We can't use numbers again, right? So 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F like that. Go to Mumbai region. I think 3 availability zones. Last time when I worked, 2 are there. It's been long back. Load, yes, 3. 1A, 1C, 1B, 1C, sorry, like this. So like this it will be there. So when you create a resource, you will be choosing this. Got it? So that's about the regions and availability zones. Why I am saying this is, whatever you create in AWS, you'll be creating in any region or you'll be creating the resource in a region and in availability zone specifically. Even our server. Anything, everything. We'll see. You'll come to that, don't worry. So that's about regions. Let's talk about the main thing, EC2. That's what the first topic generally when everyone try to see. By now you know what is EC2, but I'm just give a brief idea what is EC2. First, let me give a full form of what is EC2. Elastic Cloud Computing. EC2 means why the C2 is because there are 2 C's here. That's why EC2. Sorry, PU computing, elastic cloud computing. So this is one of the service which provides virtual machines for us in cloud. As simple as that. So it will provide you virtual machines for you to create in cloud, AWS cloud. But why? I mean, I can able to create the same thing in normal VM, right? VMware workstation anywhere, VMware player, something like, or Oracle VirtualBox. The difference I told you yesterday, right? Everything in cloud is a service. So this VM also will be provided you as a service. So you don't need to install any operating system. It's already pre-configured for you. You just choose what you want, whatever the resource you want, how much CPU you want, how much memory you want. So you'll choose that, and it will give it to you. So it's a VM simply. So we call them instances. I mean, you can call them VMs also. There is no wrong. So in AWS terminology, we call them instances. See, instances. Click on that. On the left side also you can see instances. You can simply click on that. You will see there is obviously nothing. So you can create your own instance. EC2 instance we call it. can be Linux, Windows, whatever the OS you want. So by default AWS have pre-configured operating systems where we can able to use, simply select it what you want, which version you want, and that's it, it will give it to you. No need to install anything. If you want any additional things on top of it, you can do it. Got it? So it's about EC2. So it's a virtual server, I mean not physical obviously, it's a virtual machine. So obviously the physical things whatever may be present in the Mumbai, whatever the data center we are about to create, whatever the availability zone, but we are accessing remotely, right? So for us it's virtual machine. So I'm just going to Ireland region because it's a little less cost compared to Mumbai. So all you see few options here: launch instances, actions. Some actions we'll see, don't worry. Launch instance or something. Click on launch instance. Launch instance means we are creating a new instance obviously. So the first thing, it is asking you some name and tag. Use some name, maybe test EC2 something. You know this process already. And first thing is number of instances. How many instances you want to create? If I give, come on, what happened here? So yeah, if I give maybe 20, it will create 20 servers for you, 20 VMs for you at a time with the same name and tag. If you create 2, it will create 2. So for now just 1 is fine for us. So this is the first thing. What is the name of instance and how many you want. Next thing, it's showing something called application and OS image, Amazon machine image. There is some concept called AMI, Amazon machine image. Obviously you can see the full form over here. So these machine images, we can say like a snapshot or a backup of your server. Let's say you have a server or you have your laptop, let's say you take a backup of it including the OS, and we can reinstall, right? So whatever the backup have, I mean your personal data, your files and everything, they'll come. So AMI also, it's like a backup, it's a template simply you can say. I mean for our understanding I'm just saying backup, which has our OS operating system or applications whatever we have installed. But for now we don't have any backups as of now, right? We didn't create any backups, we never see that. So that's why AWS have their own AMIs. So you can see here an AMI is a template. This contains software configuration, operating system, application server, applications required to launch your instance. So these are like imagine like a snapshot. You want to create a new server, you have a snapshot already which has your data and operating system and everything. You use that snapshot to create your own server. So AMIs are nothing but snapshots, or backups, anything, it's fine, or templates, because in template we have information of what to do. So but if we don't have any AMIs, we can create our own AMIs. We'll see that maybe later in the class, but now we don't have anything, right? That's why we choose our own, I mean AWS AMIs. AWS have AMIs, you can see which OS you want and you can select it. Amazon Linux is the one default which provided by AWS itself. If you remember, Linux is an open source, right? You can take the kernel, you can edit it, create your own OS like Ishwar OS or something, Satish OS, like that. So like that Amazon also have done that. They have their own operating system called Amazon Linux. It's a copy of, I mean don't say copy, it's a replication of Red Hat. Both are similar, I mean. So Ubuntu, you have Microsoft Windows also. If you want Windows, you can have it. Windows, Mac also you have SUSE Linux, one of the Linux flavor. There are multiple things I'm telling you, right? If you click on browse more AMIs, I don't know why it's nowadays. See, I just Ubuntu Debian something. I mean both are similar. Sorry, Ubuntu. What is the Ubuntu version here? Debian 12. Ubuntu. Where is the version? 22. Sorry. Windows C. Windows 2016, 2019, 2019 core. Blah blah blah. It depends on what you want. You can choose it. Yeah, Amazon Linux, SUSE Linux, Red Hat C, and of course 64 bits. 32 bit also will be there, I guess. Maybe, yeah, 32 bit. Yeah, let me see. So you can choose which one you want. So I don't need, maybe I want Ubuntu. Where is Ubuntu here? Ubuntu 22 I want. Ubuntu 24 this is, 22 this is. Select. See, Ubuntu is selected. It will load. It will take some time. I don't know why. So, see, Ubuntu 22 selected. Some description. Ubuntu 22 general purpose. Blah blah blah. This will see later. Don't worry. As of now, Ubuntu 22. This is the ID of that image. AMI, Amazon machine image I told you. So we call it image or AMI simply. That's also fine. So this is the ID of it. There will be unique ID for that. And this is the image. Let's say you have your own. You can create your own image. That we'll see. So if you create, you can choose your own AMI here. You can choose your own thing instead of AWS ones. Just like Docker image, let's say. By default you pull the Docker image, right? You build something, you use it. But you create a Docker file, you build your own image on top of the base image with your configuration, everything, and you use that image to create the containers. Same thing here. Amazon have their own images, AMIs, with pre-configured operating system and everything, some default apps maybe inside it. So now you want more out of it, right? So you create your own AMI and you use that AMI to create your instances. So like a Docker image and creating a container, same thing. We'll see that later, don't worry. But for now, this is about AMI. So I chosen the OS. What is the first thing in order to create a server is OS, right? So I chosen OS. Next thing, what is there? The components, memory, CPU. So here in cloud, in AWS mainly, so we can't choose the CPU and RAM separately because they come together. How they come together is in the form of instance types. If you click, there will be lots of instance types. So what happens is this EC2, we are creating a server, right? It's also costly. It is also cost. I mean, costly means we have to pay for that. Obviously, pay per use. I create a server. Server is running. I have to pay for it. So what's happening is, so there are multiple types of EC2 automation. Obviously, multiple types. We'll see the types. So what happens is, let's open. There are so many types. Maybe let's open here. Types of EC2 instances. Maybe this one. See, there are so many types of EC2 instances. So what happened here is they have categorized the servers, the EC2s. Why? Because one thing is it depends on the resources. One thing, CPU, one CPU and 4 GB memory. It depends on these things. How much and of course the bandwidth as well. How much bandwidth it supports, how much data transfer it supports, how much performance it has. So based on that, it's divided into multiple categories like general purpose. In general purpose, again, see, M series are there. M is starting with M8G, M7G. It's like Samsung mobiles. I mean, sorry, like that. T series, T2, T3A, T3, T4, M4, M5A, M5, blah blah blah, like this. You choose what you want. Let's say compute optimized. Compute optimized means it will mainly concentrated on, see, mainly concentrated on high performance processors like HPC is one of the thing. I mean, Microsoft HPC, it's to process workloads and everything. So it's each and every category specializes in one thing. Memory optimized means it will be mainly focused on memories. Compute optimized mainly focused on performance and GPUs. Storage optimized means it will be more focused on how read and write operations, because we will be reading and writing operations to a disk, obviously. So it will be focused on that. So like that, each and every category will have a specialized feature. So you have to figure out based on what you want to use. So for now, let's go for general purpose. The most commonly used whenever you practice or something is T2 series. In T2 series, we have free tier eligible. This one of the mission where this will it will come as for free for 750 hours. It means you can run this instance. You can choose this instance type T2 micro. It will come with one CPU and of course 1 GB memory, which is enough for us. So this instance type is free for us. If you observe here, let's say T2 micro select. Just an example I'm showing you. See here, in your first year include 750 hours of T2 micro or T3 micro in the regions of T3 micro is available. Instance usage on free tier AM is available per month, 750 hours per month. In the first year, let's say I created account today. From today to next year next year November 27, I'll get 750 hours of free without any cost. Only this T2 micro will come or T3 micro will come if T2 micro is not available in the specific regions. So per month 750 hours will be free for me, for everyone whoever created a AWS account for 1 year. So I guess for practice it should be enough, not required. If you choose any other thing, any other compute type, let's say I want 8 GB, 8 CPUs and 32 GB memory, this will be cost. Obviously, it's only this T2 dot micro is free for 750 hours per month until 1 year. So for practice, T2 micro is fine, but in real case, you will be using based on whatever you require. As of almost 7 years now, I've used T2, T3, M4, M5, M5A. Only these things I never used. R series also, there is one R series, there is R5, R4. That's it. Remaining, there are lots of things. It's not like we don't use or something. I didn't got that scenario to use that type of missions. So these kind of missions we got enough. So let me show you one mission we are using. M5A to double XLR. Yeah, this one we are using. 32 GB memory, 8 CPUs for one of our application. So that's why I remember it. So depends on your use case. Organization uses different things. Depends on what they want. Got it? So you can choose. Let's say your manager came to you. Hey, I want to create an EC2. I want this much memory, this much CPU. That's what the requirement he told. 16 GB memory and 8 CPU is fine. 16 GB and 8 CPU. So you have to look for the combination. 16 GB memory is okay. 8 CPU. I have to look for the combination. Of course, there will be somewhere. There will be somewhere. See, 8 CPU, 16 GB memory. This combination you have to figure out. Not just one, there will be multiple. And out of those two, let's say I got 3 servers. Instance sizes, 3 types, where 8 GB or 8 CPU memory and 16 GB memory are there. So I got 3. Out of that, what you have to choose is one thing you have to figure out based on the cost. How much, what is cheaper? Obviously, we can't pay too much, right? No one likes to pay too much. And of course, the performance, they don't want to compromise in the performance as well. So you have to figure out that which out of these 3 you have to choose which is the balanced one. So it depends on you. Depends on your use case. Got it? So we call it instance types or instance size. If you see here, instance type. So T2 micro I select means 1 CPU, 1 GB memory will come. Free tier eligible. See, it's free for me. For everyone. For you also it will be free, obviously, if it is account created less than 1 year ago. So you can choose that. Got it? So that's about instance types. So first one we selected the OS, what OS you want, what is the name of it and how many you want, and what type of instance you want, how much resources CPU memory you required and everything. So I chosen this also. Next thing is key pair. Key pair used to connect to your instance. You can use this key pair to securely connect to your instance and ensure that it is a key pair before you launch the instance. By default, if you log in anywhere, you need username and password, right? Even if your laptop, you need user ID and password. Any account, even for AWS account. But for EC2 mission, By default, they didn't give any passwords. Not a good approach to give passwords. I mean, they can give some default password, but anyone, everyone knows the default password. If they know the IP address of your server, they can simply log into your with the default password if you forgot to change it. So what they did is they gave something called a key pair in order to log in without password. So this key pair you have to choose, you have to create it, and it will be only with you until unless you share to someone. So you can create a key pair or you can choose existing one if you have. I don't have anything. You can create it. On the left side also you can see key pairs in network and security. You can create here also. That is also fine. Create a key pair and use it. Let's not create here. We can create, no worries. So if you have existing, you can simply choose it. I don't have anything. Let's create a new key pair. So it is asking what is a key pair name. You can give anything, sorry, but don't give spaces like this. Don't give space. No, see, hyphen you can give, but no space. And obviously you can't give like this also. So don't give anything, test hyphen, test or something, whatever it is. And key pair type, public key and private key, or you want encrypted public key and private key. So I think RSA is fine, public and private key. Next thing is private key format. There are two kinds of keys available. Earlier there was only one, so it will be for OpenSSH.pem and .ppk. .pem we generally using recently. So .ppk also you can use. There is something called a tool called Putty. Putty is a tool where you can log into your Linux servers from a Windows machine. I mean, Git bash also one of the thing. Git bash, the name itself is there. It will give you the bash shell so that you can execute SSH commands, Linux commands. That's why the ls commands all work in Windows, because it has a shell inside it, Linux shell. If you don't have Git bash, there is something called Putty. You can use Putty also to log in. So if you use Putty, you have to generate the ppk file. You have to choose the ppk. If you use pem, you have to, if you want use OpenSSH or something, or if you are using Linux server directly, your laptop is Linux OS, you can simply use pem. Even if you are using Windows also, just choose pem only, because you can convert pem into ppk also, but you cannot convert ppk into pem. That is not possible. So that's why choose pem and click on create. So test.pem, my key name. See, it is asking me to save it somewhere. Maybe I'll save it downloads. It's downloaded. So now my key I created. By default, when after I click on create, it asks me to download. I downloaded it, saved it. Just imagine this key I deleted it accidentally. That's it, gone. There is no way to get it back. Even if you open this key pairs, you can see your key pair. Sorry. See, is there any option to delete? Sorry, download, nothing. You can delete it, but there is no option to download. So the download is only one time. Well, after creating your key, it will ask you to download it and keep it safe somewhere. If you lost the key, gone. You can't get the key back. It means you can't log into the server. Of course, if you have password authentication enabled from SSH in Linux, you can do that, but if you don't have it, gone. That's it. There is a way also to do that, but we'll see later. So now is it clear? So key pair. So I chosen my key pair test.
Suppose if I lost, I can delete and recreate a new keeper, and will it be possible to
No, it's
reassign
not
to
possible.
the existing EC2 instance?
No, for running instance you can't change the key pair. You have to choose the key pair only while creating the instance, not after creating. It's already running, you can't change it. So you have to create a new instance. We'll see that maybe tomorrow. We'll see that, don't worry how to do that. Okay, for now let's say once key pair is lost, no way getting it back, gone. Yeah, that's it. So that's about key pair. In order to log in, you have to use the key pair, and depends on your operating system, the user also will be there. Let's say if I choose Ubuntu, the default user is Ubuntu, so that I have to use Ubuntu user to log in, and the key, whatever the key pair I created, that will work for Ubuntu user. That will work for Ubuntu user. Let's say I choose a Red Hat, so the default user is EC2 hyphen user. EC2 hyphen user. Let me write it. EC2 hyphen user. So this is the default user for Red Hat, the default user for Amazon Linux. So if I create if I choose the Ubuntu, and the key will work for this default user, so no need to change the key, the same key will work for it. Okay, since we choose an Ubuntu, let's we have to use Ubuntu user. You can change it, no problem. You can change your your OS here also. So that's about instance type, key pair. We have next thing. Before going to this, let's configure our storage. How much hard disk you want, how much storage you want. I want 8 GB by default. Okay, 8 GB is fine, you know, fine for me. If you want to increase, you can increase it 80 GB like that. Of course, if you see here, 30 GB is free. More than 30 cost, you have to pay. It's okay, 8 GB is fine. I can't pay. This, what is this? This we'll see maybe once the topic comes, but for now let's leave it default. So for server, what we did, we have OS, we have a hard disk, we have memory, CPU, I mean instance type, what is the name of the server, and how many you want. These are all things came, right? Of course, login authentication also there. Next, what we missed? We missed, there is one important thing, network. If you want to run something, create a server, or even in your home you have Wi-Fi. If you want to access that server, you need the network, right? You have a new CPU or you have a new laptop, you have to connect to Wi-Fi in order to access it. I mean, access the features, access the network. So yeah, it means your laptop is in your home network. Similarly in AWS also, it has to be in one network. One network it has to be in. So by default there is one network. It's a completely separate topic, very good one. We'll see it maybe in later classes. But this is what. So by default there is some network is chosen. We don't have any. We didn't choose anything. We chosen some network. You can click on edit if you want. Click on edit. So first thing is VPC, something called VPC. It's a network. Choose it. Only one network. Default network is there. Choose that. And subnet. If you see subnet, this is also like part of our network only. But if you observe here, availability zone, AZs, our AZ zones, EU West 1B, 1C, 1A. Which one you want to create? In which zone you want to create your server? Maybe 1C. Click on 1C. It will create in 1C. But what is subnet? That we will discuss later. For now, choose based on your availability zone. And you want to assign a public IP? Okay, enable it. I want public IP. Obviously, in order to access, I need it in order to log in. With private IP, you can't do that. If you disable this, it won't assign any public IP. You can't log in. So keep it enabled. And next thing, firewall. Firewall or security group we call it. This is a firewall at AWS EC2 level. So which we allow some protocol, some port numbers in order to access. Otherwise you can't access. So as we've seen already multiple times, we allowed the firewall, but don't worry about it. We'll create a new one. Give any name. Test firewall, something. And what are the rules inside? I mean, description, it's okay, you can give whatever you want. And what are the things should be allowed? For now, I want to allow only SSH. So in order to log into Linux server, you need SSH, right? If you block the SSH, how can you log in? First, let's block the SSH. Let's see. You know, I there is no rules. I'm creating a firewall, but there are no rules. Empty. Because I don't want to give the access to anyone. We'll see that later. So network also done. 8 GB is done. So these advanced details we'll see again. Yeah, let's see maybe now. So these are all fine. These are all okay. Not required now. There is one thing called, here is this, yes, user data. This is required for us. So what we do here is, see, we are creating an instance now, new server, we are creating new virtual machine. Okay, all good, we are creating, and I want to install Docker, my tools, whatever my tools, I want to install it. So what you do, one server is created, obviously I'll log into the server through SSH and I'll install it, correct? That's what I do generally. But now I want to install these, whatever my packages, whatever my requirements, while creating the instance itself. Because creating the instance, we log in manually, we install it, time taking process, it takes too much time. One by one we are doing. What if there is an option where while installing the virtual machine, while creating the virtual machine, because we're not installing anything here, while creating the virtual machine, I want to set up my tools also along with while creating itself, so that the time will be not wasted time, the time taking process will be reduced. What to do? So at that time you use this user data. You can write any commands here. I mean, obviously we have Linux, so any Linux commands that will execute in your server. We'll check that, don't worry. So how to give commands? Since it's Linux, give in a bash format. So maybe I want to install, where, sorry, it's a shebang. I want to install maybe Nginx, Ubuntu, right? apt first update, always update. Next, system sudo. I'll tell you why I'm using sudo. Why I'm using sudo is, these commands will execute as Ubuntu user, because that's the default user, right? So that's why I'm giving sudo. Ubuntu have admin access, so with sudo he can able to execute the the commands. Maybe touch, I'll create few files, just want to show you output, right? /home/ubuntu, this is where the Ubuntu home directory, test 1 2 3, just an example, I'm just showing something. So these commands will execute while creating the EC2 instance, so we don't need to do it manually, login again. So that's it. So you have chosen everything. Yeah, first it's like assembling this, but not installing anything. We're just picking what we want, that's it. It's already there, just choosing what we want. That's why I told you everything as a service. So now first thing, OS is there, network is there, we chosen how much storage you want, how much CPU memory you want, we chosen. What are the authentication also, how to authenticate, key pair we chosen, firewall also we chosen, but we didn't allow anything, it will block us, we'll try, don't worry. And what is the name of the instance, how many you want, we did that. Let's launch instance, I'm telling you, or server, there's nothing wrong in calling the server, just instance also one of the name, that's it. 79% it's creating. Yes, it's created. Successfully initiated launch of your instance I something 665 something. What is this is, when you launch an instance, it's not the name, we gave the name for us, obviously, right? But AWS will create an ID for you, instance ID. See, this is the name we gave. AWS will create an ID for unique ID. This will be I hyphen. I means instance hyphen random alphanumeric. Instance state running, instance type T2 micro, status 6. I'll tell you what is it. Alarms, blah blah, forget it for now. Availability zone, this is availability zone which selected. Public DNS, public IP address. Elastic IP we'll see later. Security group name test firewall which we just created. Security group key pair name test. When we created 27 today 27 752 GMT plus 530 means IST. Platform Linux. See all the details. If you select this instance, even more details will be here. See host name. This is the host name of your instance, obviously. Instance ID, public IP address. This is the IP address will be used to access, or this also public DNS. We can able to use this also to access. Private also IP is also there based on your network which you chosen, but by default we cannot access from outside with private IP address. This is the network. Where is the AMI? There will be an AMI ID. This is the AMI ID which we have used, and Ubuntu 22 Jammy something. The AMI, this out of this AMI only we created the instance. We can create our own AMIs maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Launch time. See everything will be there. Security means our firewall will be there. See test firewall. Obviously no rules. We haven't added anything. We'll add it now. Don't worry. Networking, which network we ran, so it will show you everything. Since you don't know these topics, it will be difficult. What are all these blah blah, so many are there, but once you understand it, you'll get to know. Storage 8 GB. See tags, name is equal to is our tag. You can manage tags, add whatever you want. And finally status and alarms. You will see something called status check, which is very important in EC2. What are status checks? Generally most common question usually asked. So let it initialize. It will take some time. There will be two kinds of status checks. So which usually currently it's showing sorry, this one initializing, because it is doing the status checks. There will be two checks usually. If it's all the text checks are passed, it will show 2 by 2. It will come. Don't worry, it will take maybe a few minutes, so it will come. What are those two checks? One is, see 2 by 2 checks passed. It means 2 checks are passed, no issue with the server, you can use it. If 1 by 2 passed, there is something issue. If 0 by 2 passed, gone, server is gone. But what are those checks? Let's check. So there are two checks I told you. One thing is system status checks. Next, instance status checks. These two are the checks which they have. System status checks means it depends on your network issues, or hardware level issues, or data center level issues. Hardware, networking, of course these hardware and networking, where it will be obviously in data center. So this you cannot do anything for this. If the system status checks fail, you cannot do anything, and they have to fix it. Whoever is maintaining that, they have to fix it. AWS guys in our scenario. So if 1 by 2 here, 2 by 2 is showing currently, it will show 1 by 2. I told you, right? If system checks failed, you cannot do anything. You have to wait. That's it until they fix it. There is something called instance checks. This is at server level. It may be incorrect configuration, or kernel failures. Sometimes kernel panic issues will come, or CPU memory crashed. Let's say too much CPU use or too much memory in server will crash, and it will show 1 by 2 checks passed. Instance checks failed. So you have to increase the memory or increase the CPU, in order to fix that. So if 2 by 2 are failure, out of hands, no one can do that. No one can help you. But 1 by 2 failure, we can try it, because if 1 by 2 failure out of 1, maybe system checks failed, he cannot do. It's not in your hands. AWS guys has to do something. Instance checks means you have to figure out the issue. How do I figure out? Without logging in, how do I figure out? By default, if you go to instance, click on instance state, actions, Mhm. Mhm. Get in the monitor and troubleshoot, there is something called get system log. Open it. You will see the server log here. Why the hell it is black? Blank. It should be, but there is no log. Not sure why. Let's download. Maybe it's not showing. .log file. Let's open the log file. Is there anything inside? Open with notepad plus plus. Ah, there is nothing. Maybe no logs. That's okay. So there is no log. That's fine. So you can choose. You can see the log like that. If 2 or 2 are passed, all good. So no worries. You can log in. Now this is a Linux machine. How to log in? You know this already. Open git bash. Okay, my key pair is here. Let me delete that. Open git bash. You know the command. Click on connect. If you don't know it, it will show you. See here ssh-i. This is a key pair name. Ubuntu at the host name of the public host name or public IP address. You can use anything. I told you, right? So Ubuntu is a username, default user, as I told you. So let's paste it. Obviously it will fail because the firewall is not allowed. Where is this security? Go to security. Please mind, it is a little slow today. Open security. So there is something called inbound rules. Inbound is allowing incoming, obviously. Outbound means outgoing. So incoming traffic need to be allowed in firewalls. Obviously no rules. Obviously timeout, because port 22 SSH is not allowed here. You have to allow it. Click on edit inbound rules. No need to add outbound rules. It's already allowed by default. Outgoing traffic is allowed. Incoming traffic you need to allow. So click on edit inbound rules. Add a rule. First thing, type. In the type you have to choose whatever protocol you want. Let's say Oracle, Postgres, MySQL. RDP is Windows 389 port number, I believe. So MySQL, NFS, SMTP, HTTPS 443, HTTP 480, IMAP, LDAP, DNS 53, SMTP 25, SSH 22. All traffic means it will be allowed every protocol. Every protocol means every port number 0265535. 0265535. So we don't want that. We want only SSH, right? See port 22. Source, from where you want to allow it. You can allow from your laptop. My IP address. This is my IP address. This is your public IP address. Let's see. It's checking. 49, 43 to 40, 49, 43 to 40 to 40. This is your system public address. So even you have your own thing. So you can allow from only your IP address. Of course, when you restart your system, it will change, obviously. But for now, it is IP. You can allow only from your IP. And there is something called anywhere. Allow from everywhere from the internet. 0.0.0.0 slash 0 means allow all IP addresses to access your machine. All IP addresses over the internet. Anyone, if someone knows your IP address, let's say some guy somewhere in Australia sitting knows your IP, he can log in. Of course, key pair is required, but he can log in because we are allowing the whole internet to log in. Not a good practice. We don't generally allow this in real-time scenario, in production, in office scenarios, in organizational environments. We never use 0.0.0.0 because it allows the whole internet. We don't use this. So what we use in office, there will be a network. Obviously there will be a CDR block for network, something, let's say 192.168.0.0, very common, /16 something. So like this, there will be a CID address for your office network. So you will be using that to allow. It means within this network only SSH will be allowed to log in. So if I give 0.0.0.0 means whole internet can log in with SSH, only with SSH. If you want 80 port number, you have to add another rule. 443, add another rule. Blah 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 blah, like this. You can add n number of rules. There is no limitation. So for this specific 22 port number, we are allowing the source from where you need to log in with 22 port. Maybe for today I can access from my own IP address. It's okay because I don't want you to access it. So from my laptop I can able to access with 22 port number. Let's save it. So you got it right. What is it? Firewall, I mean. Try to log in now. It should, yes, see, it's asking yes. And of course, see, I logged in. Sudo su, I mean, this you know it already. I'm just trying apt update -y. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now what we did, we have some user data, right? Let's go to our EC2. Where is the user data? Maybe in here. We can't see it, I guess. We gave user data information. I mean, to execute the commands, what we gave install nginx, correct? Let's see whether nginx is there or not. If it is working, it got success. See, nginx is installed. By default, nginx won't be there. It's common practice. I mean, nginx won't come by default. So I have installed it with help of user data. So now I don't need to log in, yum install, blah 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 something. If I give something in user data, any command, I mean Linux command. If it is Windows OS, you have to give Windows commands. It will execute that. If it is Mac, you have to give Mac commands. If you execute, it will install for you. See? So like that. Like that we created our first instance officially. We did it a lot of times earlier, but this is first time which we created by knowing some details. And of course, instance state, click on instance state, stop, reboot and terminate. You can delete it, you can stop it. Tomorrow once you come back, you can start it again. Reboot means it will restart it, obviously. So this is about EC2. Of course, there are few options that we'll discuss. So actions, connect, wave details, this you know already. Instance settings. Attached to auto scaling, you don't know this. There is something called change termination protection, change stop protection. Let's go to change termination protection. What happens is, if you enable this termination protection and save it, no one can delete it. Shall we try? Instance state, delete, delete. See, you can't delete it if it is the protection is enabled. Why? Because we may accidentally sometimes try to delete, I mean. So to prevent that, we enable the termination protection. So even if you delete it, terminate it, it won't delete. Same way we have stop protection, termination, stop, change stop protection. Enable means you cannot stop it. Same thing, you cannot stop it. There are few more instance settings. Change shutdown behavior also you can try. So what does it mean, change shutdown behavior? Why it is too slow, man? Let it open, sorry. So shutdown behavior. When you click on shutdown, what should happen? It need to the instance need to stop or instance to terminate. You can choose the action, and if you click on install, stop means it will go to shutdown, and obviously it will delete if you choose whatever you want. And next, edit user data. I told you, right? This is what, see, we gave, right? This executed already. Oh sorry, let's see the file. I forgot. Test123 file should be there. cd/home ubuntu. See the file, it's created. See how cool it is. You can exit from here, it's not required for us. You can edit the user data, it seems, but to edit your user data, you first need to stop your instance. Stop your instance, go to this option, where is it? Instance settings, change is it edit user data, add new commands and try it, and start the instance again, try it. You will see the commands will get executed, obviously. Okay, but I can't show you everything, but yeah, you try it. So you can manage the tags, everything, blah blah. You can change the same thing here. Next thing is networking. I told you, right, we haven't gone this far. We'll come, don't worry. Security, firewall, we already, let's say you have another security group. We have test firewall, right? Now we have another one, test firewall 2. You can add to EC2 server. Let's click on it. We already have this one. there is something called default. You can select it, you can add it. Now there are two security groups. These rules also will apply now. Now imagine now two are there. In this default security group, 22 port number is not allowed. It means we can't log in. But there is another security group for the same mission where 22 is allowed. We can log in. So like that will work. Of course, you don't need to. You can remove it. But if you want, you can add it. Now image and templates. Monitor and troubleshoot, that will come later. Images and templates. I told you, right? EC2 instances will be creating from AMI. AMI is nothing but image. So see, we can create your own image. See, we can create your own image out of the running instance. So now what happens? Whatever the applications are there, Nginx, whatever the files we created, that will be present in this image. Now using this image, you can create your own instance. Let's create image. What is the name? Test image. Blah blah blah. Whatever it is. Description, whatever it is you want. Reboot instance. If you select this, what happens is when the image is taking, the server will get rebooted. Of course, don't do this for production. Uncheck the option. If you check what happens is, if you click on create image, the server will get rebooted and image will start backing up. But don't do this. No reboot. Without rebooting, take an image. If I reboot, downtime obviously, and it will fail. Create image. The image is creating. How do I know whether image is creating or not? On the left side, you can see something called images. AMI. Open it. See your image, test image. It's status pending. It's still creating. It will take some time. Don't worry. Maybe hardly 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see. Don't worry that. Now, one more option: image and templates. Create template from this instance. You can create a template. I mean, similar to image. It's fine. Launch more like this. If you click on it, it will create one more instance with the same configuration. See, we have chosen everything, right? Firewall, all these things we've chosen. If you click on launch more like this, see, everything will come the existing settings. I did not choose anything. Ubuntu 22 came by default. E2 micro. Keep here, you have to select obviously. Remaining everything. See, test firewall also came. With the same configuration, we are creating one more instance, but I don't want it. So you can create like that. Let's see the AMI. It will take time, obviously, don't worry. So that's about the instance. Of course, there is one more thing. Instance, click on instance types. Load. See, so many are there. See here, what it will show you in information about what to choose. Let's say T2 XL large, sorry. CPUs 8 CPUs, memory 32 GB, 64-bit, network performance moderate, on-demand Linux pricing. See, $0.4032 per hour US. So you can choose here which one you want. Don't worry. They're almost here like this. Got it? You can choose here. Oh, sorry, not required. Now go to AMIs again. It's still pending. Okay, it will take time. Don't worry. We'll see that and we'll close it today. No worries. Now let it go. We'll see few more things. You know it already by default. Sorry, I can't restart it. It's okay. Let's go to another topic. So we have seen instance types, right? T2 micro, T2 medium, M4, blah blah. There are so many. These are, we call it instance types, or instance sizes, because the CPU memory also allocated with that type. There are one more types called types of instances, not just types of categories like this. EC2 categories are there. There are most strongly. Let me show you few things. On demand instances, spot instances, reserved instances, or dedicated host. These are the types of EC2s. But you told these are types of EC2, T2 micro and all. But what are these? T2 micro are types at resource level. CPU, memory, these will have based on the resource and performance level we choose. But this is the type of instance that we create. While creating EC2 itself, this one of the type will be choosing. So by default, on demand. On demand means whenever we require, we'll create instance. Whenever we require, we'll create an EC2, obviously, correct? So that's called on demand. I require the EC2 now, I'll create it. Maybe after 1 hour I don't want it, I'll delete it. That's called on demand instance. Whenever required, I'll create it. So as of now, what we created is on demand instance. What we created is on demand instance. This is on demand instance. So based on our requirement. Next is reserved. Reserved is, it's like buying the EC2 instance. Obviously EC2 is paid rate for hourly basis usually. So but we don't pay hourly basis. Monthly bill will be generated, we'll be pay for that. But reserved instances will buy in bulk for 3 years, for 6 years, like this. It's just like buying goods. If you go to Chickpad, they'll will buy in bulk, right? Why? So that they'll reduce the cost. Overall cost will be reduced. If you buy a single item, obviously the single item price will be you have to pay the single price. But if you buy bulk somewhere, in a, I don't know shop names, what we call it. So if you buy in bulk, what happens? The cost will be less, correct? That's how the reserved instances works. So here also we'll create instance for a certain time period, for 3 years, for 6 years. Here reserved instances. Reserved, create reserve, purchase. You have to purchase it, obviously. So what is the platform you want? What is the tenancy? Tenancy I'll tell you later. Offer, what class you want, and instance type. This instance type you cannot change once the reserved instances is created. Let's say this one. Term 1 to 12 months or 12 to 13. 1 year or 3 years? 3 years. Payment option, full payment, partial payment, no upfront. Maybe not now. I'll do it later. Search. See, it will give you full price. If I click on add to cart, obviously it'll cart will be added. We have to buy it. So what happens is, we are taking in bulk. So obviously what happens if I all full upfront? Search. The cost will be reduced. Got it, right? So obviously the cost will be reduced overall. Now if you see for 3 years, 36 months, 3 years, right? $43,000 overall for 3 years. If I pay full amount, partial amount, the cost will be different. See, hourly rate will be like this. So now if you calculate hourly rate and overall the partial rate, it will be less, obviously. We are buying in bulk. Those are called reserved instances. Of course, people use reserved instances. So maximum 3 years, as you can see, not 6 years, sorry. So 1 year to 3 years maximum. So like that. That's about reserved instances. Purchasing in bulk. Of course, once you create the reserved instances, if you delete it, there is no point of having in it. So you have to use it, and of course you cannot change the instance type, because see, you purchasing in bulk, and after some days you used something out of the bulk, you went to for exchange. Will the shop guy give? No, right? It doesn't work like that. You're buying in bulk, whether it's working or faulty product, so you cannot do anything. Or if it is not enough for you, you cannot do anything. You have to use it. Similarly, there is no returns. You can't return it. And there is something called dedicated host. What does it mean, dedicated host is? Let's click on it. What happens? Okay, I can't click it. Okay, let's click on click it. Allocated dedicated host means for you specifically. Sorry, let's say what happens is, I think I told you earlier yesterday. Amazon, any cloud, there will be shared tenancies. It means I created my EC2 and you created an EC2 machine, will be kept in the same infrastructure. We'll be using the same infrastructure. We'll be sharing the same infrastructure in data center, not here. I mean, in our accounts we are different, but in AWS data center, if we choose in the same availability zone and everything, we'll be sharing the resources. We'll be sharing the resources in data center. So I don't want like that. I want to have separate infrastructure within the data center. I mean, within the data center wherever the AWS is, I want separate infrastructure for my server. So at that time you can go for dedicated host. It will give you dedicated hosts for you. So no resources, no other guys, I mean, no other accounts or organizations can share your resources. You will have separated dedicated resources for you. I mean, resources mean infrastructure, server, hard disk, and everything. They'll keep it separate for you. Obviously, cost for you, like that. That's about dedicated host. I never used it as of now, but yeah, that's about it. So dedicated host means specific for specific infra for you separately. That's about dedicated host. Now finally, Spot. What is Spot? This is one kind of an instance, request Spot instance. So what are Spot instance means? AWS have this concept called bidding. You know bidding, right? We generally go for biddings. So here also AWS also will have biddings, hourly biddings. What they'll do is there will be some unused instances. Maybe some guys used it and they give it back, they are unused. So they'll do a bidding. AWS guys do a bidding. It's like a second-hand instances. Sorry, it's like a second-hand instances that we are buying for a smaller price. There will be a bidding for that. Whoever bids higher, they'll give for them. It's a hourly bidding. So let's say I want to have a Spot instance just for 1 hour. Just for 1 hour, as an example, I'm sharing. I want to have instance just for 1 hour. Later, I don't want it. So at that time, you can go for this Spot instance. Request Spot instance. So you have to configure all these things. I mean, there is nothing. You have to choose the same EC2 whatever you required, and it will launch for you. The cost will be very less compared to our on-demand instances. Generally, we use on-demand, as I told you. Whenever we want, we'll create it. But Spot will be very less compared to on-demand, because these are unused instances which they are giving for us temporarily only. You won't use it for permanent resources, permanent things. So temporary use cases, and these biddings will be hourly. Let's say what happens, right? There will be multiple guys, right? Of course, multiple organizations use AWS, and I bid for $10. They'll give to me. In the next hour, I mean, for 1 hour I can use it. In the next hour, some other AWS guys, I mean, some other organization, they bid for $11. So immediately, without any notification, this Spot instance will be assigned to that guy. They'll take it from you, they'll give it to them. So like that. This Spot instance works. So based on the bidding, we are using it, this bidding concept. So we are using in EKS, I mean Kubernetes. We haven't touched that. There is a long way for that. So these are types of instances. Maximum for our practices will be using reserved. We have to pay for it. Dedicated, we have to pay for it. Spot, you have to pay for it. So on demand also you have to pay for it, but monthly it's okay. That's why we'll use on demand mostly. In organizations, people use any of these. We are not using dedicated host as of now. Reserved also not recently, but yeah, we are using Spot and on demand majorly. That's about the type of instances. When creating, if you create an instance like these instances, it's on demand only. If you want to go to create Spot, go here. For reserved, go here. For dedicated, go here. So that's about types of instances. Now let's see our AMI. If it's still pending, yeah, it's available. Now we have our own image available. We can create a new instance out of it. See, launch image instance from AMI. Now it's our own image, our own test image, not the AWS image. Just like Docker, right? We're creating our own image, Docker image, and we're creating a container. Similarly, we have our own AMI description. See, See this thing, we create our own instance, click on launch. I mean, I don't want to launch, but yeah, you can launch. Nginx will be there, whatever the test123 file you created will be there like this. So that's how you can delete the AMI if you sorry, I went to AMI. So you can delete the AMI, click on actions, deregister AMI means it will delete it, see, gone. So you can have your own AMI and you can create your own things. Got it? We'll see AMIs tomorrow also, don't worry. And finally, last topic I want to say, I know it's too much, but I just want to close this. Last topic I want to say is, imagine the public IP address now, 54.170.65, right? Let's stop the instance. Obviously, wait, it's stopping, it will take some time. Let's wait. Wait. Stopping still. What I am trying to say is, so I stopped the instance. If I start the instance again, this, see, public IP gone, it stopped. Let's start the instance again. The public IPs will change, obviously. It will take some time. See, 54.74 came. Earlier it was some different. Every time if you restart a machine, the public IP will change. The public IP will change. Is there a solution for that? Because if every time the public IP changes, imagine the same thing in production. Not a good thing, right? Every time, of course, server will restart maybe for multiple reasons. If the IP changing every time, how can I maintain it? I can't do that. I need a static IP. Static IP means it should not change even after restart. Is there any way for that? Yes, there is something called elastic IPs. Click here. Elastic IPs. These elastic IPs are static IPs. These are public IPs, but they are static. So until you delete it, they won't delete. So this won't change. These elastic IPs are permanent. But the thing here is how elastic IP works is, we have to create an elastic IP, allocate an elastic IP address. Just click on create, allocate, sorry. See, elastic IP is created. This created in your account. This elastic IP is some random IP. This belongs to your account, AWS account, not to EC2 instance. This belongs to your AWS account. You have to attach this elastic IP to your instance. Then what is 54, 74, 30, 11? Here 73, 54, 73 here. This is your IP, elastic IP. This IP actually is free. If you use it, it's free. If you don't use it, you have to pay for it. Reverse. So currently I created my IP, but I am not using it. So I have to pay for it. If I attach this to an instance, I can attach this to an instance and I can use it for that instance. Then no need to pay for that. Very soon this also will be changing, but as of now, if you attach to an instance this IP, you no need to pay, and this IP is permanent until you delete it. This I told you, right? This IP is created for your account, not for EC2 instance. So you can attach to any EC2 instance. I have, let's say, 100 EC2 instances now. This IP I can attach to any instance, but only one at a time, obviously. I can't have single IP address attached to multiple EC2s, right? Multiple servers, that is not possible. So click on, select this, allocate IP address now will come. If you allocate, click on actions, click on actions, associate IP address. Click on associate IP address. Instance, obviously I want to choose, but this is the instance you want to choose. Select the instance, associate 54.73. It's attached to this instance. Let's refresh. See, IP change. Now this elastic IP is attached to this instance. I can use this IP to log in. I can stop this instance. I'll start it again. The IP won't change because this is an elastic IP, not IP. This IP did not came with the instance, right? This IP came with our account, AWS account, and the IP we attach it to instance. The IP we attach to instance. So this is not easy to instance IP. This elastic IP, which is static. Until you delete it, it's permanent. So it stopped. See, the IP is still there. I guess it stopped, right? Yeah, instance stopped. If I start, see, it's still there, like that. See, like that. It is permanent. It is static. So this will be using generally, and not in every case, but sometimes you need it. So like that. So now there is no cost for us because we are using the elastic IP. Now I can detach the elastic IP from EC2. I attached right earlier. I can log in, but I don't want to use it now. I can simply click on actions, disassociate IP elastic IP address. It will remove the IP address from the instance. Let's refresh. See, some 78, some random thing. Now it is not attached to anyone. Now we have, if I have another server, I can simply attach to that also, but I don't want it. Simply I'll delete it. There is something called release IP address. Associate means attached to server. Release means delete it. I mean, we are releasing from our account. Some other account will use this. Some other AWS account will use this. See, gone. So like that. That's how the elastic IPs work. They are static. They won't change. They are static IP address. They won't change. You can create elastic IP address for your account, and you can attach the elastic IP address to your any of the EC2 instance. Only for EC2 instance, obviously, and of course only one at a time. See, for now I attach it to this instance. You cannot attach to another instance at a time, same time. So you have to detach from this instance and attach the elastic IP to another instance if you want. So like that you have to do. So is it clear about elastic IP? I know it is. Yeah, sorry.
Suppose if I attach elastic IP and
Yes.
I'm not actively using
So
that
suppose
instance.
It's okay. Now that
yeah,
does not
suppose if I
matter.
attach
It doesn't
elastic
matter whether
IP
you're using
and
instance or not.
I'm
Is the
like
elastic
not
IP is
actively
being
using
used
my
or not?
instance,
Is it
will
being
it be
used by an
considered? Or,
instance, right? That's it. It doesn't matter. See, instance is running. AWS does not care about whether you're logging to instance or not, or doing something or not. It is running, you have to pay. Same the elastic IP is using by instance, you don't need to pay. That's it. It does not matter whether you use it, or whether you log into instance or not, whether you know use the instance or not, but it's running, right? It's being used. So like that it works. Got it? So that's about EC2. I think our classes will extend like this maybe
yes.
until 8:30. So please keep your plans also current like that. Depends on the topic. It is too much, but if I say, if I divide this topic into two parts and say it, half of it you don't get it. I mean, you'll forget it obviously. That's why I just want to close it. So that's about EC2. Do practice, otherwise it will be confused. I mean, tomorrow we'll come with AMIs and some other topic also there. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. All right, everyone. Bye. Let's meet tomorrow same time. I'm deleting the instance. Obviously, you can see it. It's deleted. Yeah,
Okay.
because the termination protection I disabled it. That's why it's deleted. If you enable, you can't delete. I'll upload the video maybe a little late, so do watch it. Okay. Bye all. Yeah,
Ping
sorry.
that notes in chat.
Oh, this one. Okay. It's
Okay.
yeah.
So can I
Everything is in video already.
bring the
I
notes
mean, you
in
can see the
chat?
notes also in video, right? No worries. Okay. Copy it. If I stop the meeting, you can't copy anymore.
Oh, yeah. Copy.
Okay. All right. Let's meet tomorrow same time. Bye. Bye all. Have a nice day.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Copied.